So today I'm making another wonderful summer side dish. This is something that I loved as a kid and I ate it out of a can, zucchini and tomatoes. And so I'm gonna be I have 2 zucchini, I have 3 tomatoes, and then I have a bulb of garlic. I wonder if I can balance it in my hand. And so I'm gonna be using this to make a delicious side dish, and I can't wait to show you how it turns out. Okay, so our next simple recipe is zucchini and tomatoes. So Italian zucchini and tomatoes. I loved this as a kid. I bought it in a can, and I can't believe that that's what I used to eat. I loved it. And so we're going to make that today. Super simple. We only have 5 ingredients here today. And so I'm going to start with my zucchini. And so I'm going to cut off these ends of my zucchini. This is a great way to use up your summer produce. Now, with this recipe, I do like the rounds. And so I can thinly slice the rounds, or I could use a mandolin too. It's another one that I like, the vegetable, or this one's another fruit. I like it to be thinly sliced. And just like the yellow squash, this does have lutein and xanthan in it, which is wonderful for our eyes. It's very hydrating, so it's wonderful to eat this time of year, which is why it grows this time of year. We tell people we need to eat seasonally. There's a reason why these foods are available this time of year. And in the heat of summer, it was 100 degrees earlier today. We need these cooling foods. Now, zucchini and squash are both on the Dirty Dozen. They do have GMO squash, and so you do want to make sure that you buy organic or grow your own, or that you get it from someone that you know grows in a particular way where they will not have chemicals sprayed on top. So I love eating these whole food dishes, because then I know exactly what I'm eating. It's all nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and fiber that my body loves and needs, right? And especially if we're recovering from an autoimmune disease, we need to make sure we're boosting as many minerals and things like that as we can. So I want to add 3 garlic cloves. So I'm going to pull 3 off of my bulb there. And I'm going to smash these with the back of my knife. My hands are damp from slicing that zucchini, so those papers are sticking to me. All right, so I'm going to smash it. Smash 1, smash 2, and smash 3. See if I can get our light back on. And then I'm going to pull those papers off and let it sit again, just like the last one, so that we build up the allanase enzymes, which is where our medicinal qualities lie in the garlic. So garlic is a wonderful medicinal. At the School of Natural Healing, it was like a penicillin. It's wonderful for repairing DNA damage, for all sorts of things. So I have 1 zucchini in here. I'm going to add a tomato, and I'm just going to alternate chopping tomato, chopping zucchini to fill up our bowl here. So I'm going to slice the tomato, and then I'm going to chop it into chunks. I could leave it sliced, but I prefer to have it more into chunks. I'm going to do 1.5 since I did 1 whole zucchini. So I'm just going to lay it down. I like to lay a couple slices on top of each other, slice it into thirds, and then I can just slice this way. Now you want to make sure you have a nice sharp knife. People are afraid to use sharp knives, but the sharper the knife, the better it's going to be going into the fruit or vegetable, another fruit, of course. And so if it was dull, then there's a chance it's going to slide, and there's a much higher risk that I'm going to get cut. And so you want to make sure you use a very sharp knife. So we're cutting. Want to move that little stem piece because it might be a little tough, and throw that tomato in. All right, I'm going to throw those tomatoes in there. Look at all that liquid. I want that liquid in my dish because I need some of that moisture. Tomatoes have a lot of moisture. The zucchini has a lot of moisture. We just want to make sure that it is nice and moist when we cook it. So I'm going to use my handy dandy garlic press, or I can mince it, either one. I have a video with cooking, chopping, cutting skills, knife skills. That's what it's called. And so, if you want help using knives, learning how to mince the garlic, you can always check out that video. All right. And then I can just run my knife there. Get that out. There's still some that needs to be chopped a little more. So I'm going to kind of bunch it together. Whenever you scrape your board, use the back of the knife so you don't dull it. Keep your knives nice and sharp. All right. And then if I leave a little bit on the board, that's okay because it's just going to add flavor to that zucchini when I chop the zucchini, isn't it? All right. Let's get all of that garlic off there and finish slicing. So I'm going to go back to the zucchini, thinly slice. That was a little thicker than I want. I have to go slow to get it nice and thin. I haven't perfected the fast thin slice. Okay, there we go. I'm getting down to the end. Put that in my compost. The dogs will love it. And then add that to my bowl. And then I just need to top with my tomatoes and my herbs and spices. So I'm going to chop the remaining 1.5 tomatoes. Cut out that little piece. And chop. All right, add it all to our bowl. And then I need to add my herbs and spices. Let me go rinse off my cutting board. You can see all that liquid there. Okay, so right now all we have is zucchini and tomatoes. So we need to add some flavoring. Okay, we have garlic, tomatoes, and zucchini. So I want to make sure that we add a little bit of vinegar. That helps to balance the flavors with the tomato. So I'm just going to put a tablespoon of vinegar. And then I want some salt and pepper. So I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of salt. If you're salt sensitive, you can leave it out. That vinegar is going to give you a salty taste. Even though vinegar doesn't have salt, it kind of tricks the tongue into thinking that there's some salt. But I also want to add some basil because this is kind of an Italian type dish. Now, normally I would put in about a teaspoon of dried basil or a tablespoon of some fresh. This is some dried from my garden. And so it's hard to measure. And so that's why I'm telling you. So we have some salt. I didn't put any pepper. Here is some pepper. And then we just need to stir it and we're going to cover it. And luckily, this dish came with a glass lid. So it's a little more friendly than some of the other ways that we could be covering our dishes. So in my membership group, the Culinary Healing Circle, we talk about toxins in our food, how we can do kind of a daily detox because we're surrounded by so many different toxins in the world. And one of the things that we talk about is our cookware. And so, like this handle of this spoon, this is plastic. And so maybe I'm exposing my hand to some plastic. The plastic's not getting into my food though. But so we want to pay attention to things like that. You know, what are we cooking in? What is actually touching our foods and things like that. So I just want to get this stirred up. You can see I'm not very good at judging the size of a bowl. And so let me stir it up, separate some of these zucchini so they get cooked all the way through. I don't want them all stacked on top of each other. Threw one out. Mix them all up a little so there's some delicious flavors. They're going to release some liquid. Those tomatoes are going to release a lot of liquid. If you've ever made zoodles, you know how much liquid comes out of zucchini. So tomatoes, when we cook them, they're full of lycopene, which is wonderful for hormonal health, especially for men. and it's more easily absorbable in a cooked form. And so we do want to have some cooked tomatoes every now and then. I do eat a lot of raw foods, but then I do like to have some cooked foods too, because there are some benefits to cooking some of these foods and as far as nutrients go as well. So there we go. This is ready. I'm going to just cover it with a lid and I'm going to put this in the oven. I have the oven set at 375. I'm going to put it in the oven for 30 minutes and we'll check it and see how it looks. So a storm came up and my power keeps blinking. So I thought I better show you our zucchini and tomatoes just in case the power goes out. So it's been in about 20 minutes. You can see our zucchini is, we want to be able to see through it. It's too opaque. We need it to be translucent. And so I'm going to stick it back in the oven. So that was 20 minutes. It's usually going to take about 45. And so I'm going to put it back in the oven. It smells delicious. I just wanted you to see it just in case the power goes out. Okay, our zucchini and tomatoes look like they're ready. Take the lid off. Let's check it out. Here we go. They're nice and juicy. I'm going to use a slotted spoon to scoop them up. Scoop it up. Mmm, so good. So much better than what I used to eat out of the can, right? And then all these delicious flavors straight from the fields. Anyway, if you like this recipe, let me know. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this with your friends, and enjoy.